Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and in this video I'm going to tell you about my experience visiting Disney World and what everything costs. I was here for 8 days. I figured 2 days in each park, and that turned out just about right. So first let me go over what it costs to enter the parks. It all depends on how many days you get passes for. If you get a pass for 1 day only, it's going to cost you $119. But the more days you get passes for, the lower your daily cost goes. And I did for 8 days. That got my cost for admission to the park down to $57 a day. However, and this is a big however, you also have to pay for parking. And the parking fee for all 4 of the Disney parks is $25 a day for a car or a motorcycle, and that brings my $57 a day cost up to $82. So now I want to talk about camping in an RV in or anywhere near Disney World. Now, as you may know, Disney World has its own campground, which is called Fort Wilderness, and it has, I think, about 850 campsites. And the cost to camp there varies throughout the year and how large of a space you have. For me, for my 40-foot motorhome needs, it would have been $98 a day for this time of the year. And that is way over what I like to pay for RV park space. And when I checked on Disney's website about getting a space at Fort Wilderness for the time that I'm going to be here, it said that they were full. Not available. Amazing. 850 spaces, charging for some people well over $100 a day, and they're booked full. Amazing. So I looked around for other places to camp, and I found one that I liked. There are many others around. They're all much less than Disney's campground. I stayed at Lake Louisa State Park, where I am right now, which costs $27 a day. So that's a considerable savings. However, when I go to Disney World, I have to still pay the $25 for parking, whereas if you stay in Disney World's campground, then they have the transportation to the park where you don't have to pay for parking. So even with that, 27 plus $25 a day is $52. And still, that's almost half of what it costs to stay in Disney's campground. And for that extra $50, I can buy me a day's worth of food, even at Disney World's expensive prices. And the state park where I am, it's 22 miles from Disney World. So I drove that every day, which was not bad. And also, it gave me an opportunity to eat breakfast at some restaurant on the way to Disney World, and then having dinner coming back after I'm done with Disney World, with various restaurants along the way. So that was okay with me. Also, Disney charges $30 for RVs to park in the parking lot, which is not bad. So one thing you could do is each day drive your RV to Disney, park there for $30, and then at the end of the day leave and drive off and find some place to go lot docking. And I did a video in December about how to find places for lot docking, and that would save you the most money. Now, I thought about parking my motor scooter at one of the Disney hotels and then taking the bus each day from the hotel to Disney World. However, I found out that Disney also charges parking fees at their hotels, even for their overnight guests. So people paying $200, $300, $400 a night don't get free parking at the hotel. They still tack on a parking fee, which varies by hotel, anywhere from $13 to $24, the website says. Now, food purchased in Disney World, as you might guess, is ridiculously expensive. A simple hamburger, fries, and a Coke will cost you $17. And you're typically going to spend that up to $20, $30, $40 a day. And they also have a buffet restaurant at the Disney World parks, which costs $56 plus tip. And that's one thing that always has annoyed me about buffet restaurants, is that you still get a waiter. You have to have a waiter bring your drinks, and they want a tip for that. They actually want a 15 or 20% tip, and it showed that on the receipt, you know, where it shows the amount the tip at a buffet. So wherever you eat in Disney World is going to be ridiculously expensive. Cokes from a fountain is $4. A bottle of water is $3.50. Now I want to talk about the rides. About half of the rides really are for small children, and the other half are for larger children or teenagers and adults who like things like roller coasters, which I don't that much. I did take several of the rides, but most of the time when I looked at taking a ride, the lines were just ridiculously long. Now, Disney World also had this thing called a Fast Pass. Your daily entrance fee includes 3 Fast Pass tickets where you go through the line much, much quicker than the people without the Fast Pass. The problem with that is you have to book those Fast Passes at least a day in advance, or they're all going to be up. They only allow so many Fast Passes per hour. And the problem I had with that is that I didn't know if I wanted to take a certain ride until I got there and saw what it was. So then you pull it up on your cell phone to order the Fast Pass, and oh, they're all taken for the rest of the day. So I had to wait in lines most of the time for like an hour, or some of the rides are like an hour and a half wait just to get on the ride. And some of the rides are like 3 minutes. You wait over an hour for a 3-minute ride. Most of them, in my opinion, were not all that great anyway. The kids love them, of course. And the crowds all over the park were really bad. And you'll see on a typical day probably about 1,000 baby strollers. Some of the baby strollers don't have babies in them. Some of them don't have anything in them. Some people will put their 6-year-old kids in a baby stroller. And as you can imagine, with crowds, it's always difficult to get around. And even on a cold, rainy day, there would still be thick crowds. And about the weather, some days were cold and rainy that I found, and some days were hot and sweaty. So you never know what the weather's going to be like from day to day around here. At least in the winter. In the summer, it's always hot. And I understand that it rains a lot in the summer. And of course, you're going to be walking all day long. Now, what I did was I took my little scooter with me. I have a mobility scooter that I call my little scooter. And I figured out a way to put it on top of my big scooter to take it into Disney World. Because every day, camped here 22 miles away, I drove my motor scooter into Disney. So this is my big scooter, 200cc scooter, and then this is my little scooter. And I use these bungee cords to strap it on the back there. Now I made another video clip I'm going to show you right now to show you what it looks like with the little scooter strapped on top of the big scooter. I figured out how to strap down my mobility scooter, my little scooter on top of my big scooter. And that is how I went to Disney World every day. And that works out just fine. Now, I'm not disabled, but I am an old man. And I get tired easily walking. And if I walk all day long, then my feet are really going to be hurting for 2 days. And I did not want to go through that for the whole 10 days that I'm going to be here, plus some. And I really enjoy my day a lot more if I can use my little scooter to get around rather than walking all day. And it also always gives me a place to sit down. And you also saw a lot of people around in wheelchairs or mobility scooters. Now, I suspect that the average out-of-town visitor to Disney World is going to be paying probably around $250 a day, including the park admissions and the parking and the food and the camping or staying in one of their hotels. And what surprises me a lot more than how much it costs is the mega millions of people who are willing to pay those costs to go to Disney World. People just love Disney World, even though in my opinion it's lacking in a lot of ways. Now, did I enjoy my time at Disney World? Yes, I did. I enjoyed all 4 parks very much. Will I ever want to go back again? No, not likely. Because I've seen it. I don't need to see it again. I know they add new things just about every year, but whatever they add is not going to be worth it for me coming back here again. So this is kind of a one-time thing for me. And in my opinion, the cost of everything regarding Disney World is not worth it. Everything is greatly overpriced. But still, I'm glad I did it. I enjoyed it. I wanted to see it. I saw it. I'm just not going to come back again. But I know there's some people that have season passes that come like 10, 20, 30 times a year. To each his own. So whether or not it's worth it is totally up to you. But I have a lot more places I want to go before I come back to Disney World. I may come back to Florida once every few years to spend the winter. It's amazingly warm here most of the time, so that's good. I have a lot more things I want to see in Florida before I leave, but I'm going to be off to other adventures. Good day, folks.